Hi, friends.
Hi, friends.
We're back. It's episode 99 of the Brunch and Judge.
We're so close.
Next week, I can't believe our next one is 100.
I know. It's crazy.
I don't have this level of commitment to anything except, Spencer, I guess, but it's like, wow, I keep making episodes. Wild. Okay, cool.
It is wild.
Well, we are your hosts. I'm April.
And I'm Claire.
And this week, our topic is paranormal, which I realize comes up a lot for us on our wheel. Like, it must just be in like a prime location and just loves to be chosen. But
right.
I mean, I'm here for it.
I know.
But
you think we wouldn't have? You think we don't have anything else on the wheel, but we do.
There's so many things. Some things have never been hit before too, and I'm like, why?
I know, right?
What's going on?
I know.
Anyway, so I go first this week, and
Yay.
I have brought to you the very paranormal history and reality of the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum.
Because I'm also doing a lunatic hospital.
Really?
Yes.
Are you doing that funny same wavelength thing?
Yeah. Because when you messaged me, I was like, I'm also doing this.
Well, Spencer was like, what's Claire doing? He's like, I don't know, but if I claim mine now, then she'll have to change hers. So, since we tend to pick the same
Not
things.
the same one, but I'm also doing a lunatic asylum.
Maybe it's
a mental
just
hospital.
Indicative of the times, or
right.
It's just the twin flame thing. My twin
flame.
Is.
Twin flame.
Okay, so I got my information from Wikipedia, the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum.com website, because of course it's a tourist attraction now.
I mean, yeah.
The roadunraveled.com, which is a travel blog, wvnst.com, news site, and I swear to God, a high school student newspaper article, The Spartan Shield, but
nice.
worth it. So good job.
Nice.
Good job, co-editor that wrote this year or last year. So
nice.
Great. Okay. So the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, which is also known as Weston State Hospital, depending on what time period we're talking,
gotcha.
Operated from 1864 to 1994.
Oh, same time period too.
Seriously? Oh,
yeah, like I'm within like 10 years. Like
I love it. Okay, so it is located in Weston, West Virginia, and was originally designed by the Gothic and Tudor Revival architect Richard Snowden Andrews, who was from Baltimore.
Snowden Andrews.
I know.
Snowden.
I know, right? Thank you. I was like, okay.
You're like, wait a minute.
It's like, okay. Anyway. So it was designed following the Kirkbride plan, which
mine too.
I mean, it was apparently the shtick of the time, so that makes sense. They were really embracing the Kirkbride plan, which called for long, rambling wings arranged in staggered formations, assuring that each of the connecting structures received an abundance of therapeutic sunlight and fresh air, because nothing cures crazy like sunshine.
I'm
here for it. Like, it seems the right step, as opposed to let's lock them in a prison and let them die. Let's at least give them some sunshine and fresh air.
I know, right?
So supportive. I'm supportive of that.
Yeah.
There are also lots of open spaces for patients to gather and socialize and eat. The grounds were landscaped so that patients could look out windows and see like the rolling hills and the openness of the area, and not the gates that kept them locked in.
Right.
So this particular asylum is the largest hand-cut stone masonry building in North America and the second largest in the world.
Nice.
The only thing larger is the Kremlin.
Wow.
I know, right? And like, oh, okay, damn.
Oh, the Kremlin.
The
Okay.
Kremlin.
Well.
It was constructed in 1858 and construction ran until 1881. So they did open it while still parts of it were under construction. So like they finished a wing and area, whatever. And initially they used prison labor because why not? But they did bring in some skilled stonemasons from Germany and Ireland to come in and, you know, do it right.
Right. Yeah.
But during construction, they hit some roadblocks, some issues. You might recall in this time there's this pesky thing called the Civil War.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
At that point, this area, there was no West Virginia. It was all the state of Virginia.
Uh-huh.
And when Virginia seceded from the Union, they decided that the money that was going to build the lunatic asylum should be taken, because it hadn't been used yet, and should go towards defense against the North.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, fair. But...
Yeah, it's like, let's use it toward war efforts. I get that, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ohio came in with their infantry and managed to like come storm the town and get the money from the bank and take it, and they held on to it until West Virginia became its own state in 1863, at which point it was given back to complete the building. So I'm like, cool. But during Civil War times, the partially at that point built asylum, they had managed like one wing of it and basement foundation stuff. So they were using that and that area as Camp Tyler. So it became a Civil War camp and a military post that helped maintain control over the roads in that area. So there was a lot of back and forth over who controlled it. So
gotcha.
It changed several times, and so lots of people probably died in the battles of claiming it. Right. So great start to this particular hospital. It was designed, though, to be self-sufficient, like many of the others we've talked about. So they had their own farm, their own dairy, their own waterworks, of course, a cemetery, gotta keep them close. So once the war was over and they went back to building, they pretty quickly got patients in 1864. And patients were admitted for a variety of insanity reasons. Mm-hmm. So asthma, laziness, egotism, domestic troubles, and greediness. God. Don't be greedy. You'll end up in the insane asylum. I'm like, oh, okay. All right.
That's ridiculous.
Rabies, which I'm like, you shouldn't have people with rabies around anybody else. Just saying.
Right. Like that's okay.
TB, if you got the consumption, they sent you there. Wow. These are some of my favorite ones. Are you ready? Patients who were, or people who were patients at this particular hospital, some of the reasons they were there were wives who were insubordinate to their husbands. So I would have been there.
Same.
Indigestion. So I also would have been there.
Indigestion.
I know. Also, this is one of my favorite. Doubting one's ancestry. I don't even know what that means.
What?
I don't know.
I'm like you. I'm like, what does that even mean?
Obviously, political and religious excitement. If you're too excited about politics or religion, you obviously. And in one case, someone was admitted because they had been kicked in the head by a horse. Mm-hmm. So in this time, a man could admit his wife for basically any reason. And he could decide to, never bring her home. So, say he had a new relationship or a new mistress. That's fine. Because the wife would become a ward of the state. And so he didn't have to care about her anymore. Interestingly...
This is so gross.
It is gross. It's super gross.
It's so gross how things used to be. I swear. It's
well, and then it gets worse because children often accompanied their mothers. So, like, they would be dropped off with mommy. Sometimes women were pregnant when they were there. So, like, the children would be born in this
awful place
and raised there. So, like, it's weird. Later, they ended up, you know, as times changed, it became a place for people who had epilepsy, alcoholics, drug addicts, and this is how it's phrased, guys, from the article I read. The phrase is non-educable mental defectives, which sounds gross.
Yeah.
Like, what a horrible name for that, but okay.
I know. That's not PC at all.
No. So I'm sure you're surprised that knowing all the different reasons one could end up there, including some that required, like, my mommy is here, so now I'm here.
Right.
Overcrowding became a problem pretty quickly. So initially it was designed to hold 250 patients. So by 1880, it had 717 patients. By 1938, it had 1,661 patients. And in the 1950s, it was overcrowded with nearly 2,500 patients. 250, 2,500. It's a huge difference. So
I feel like you and I did the same story.
I mean, I feel like this is just
everything.
All of them. All this. Every time we do them, like, oh my God, there's always overcrowding because it's always anybody can just be here, and then here you go.
Right.
So this was disturbing to me. There were bed sharing measures that were implemented in order to deal with the overcrowding. So essentially, people were allowed 8 hours of rest in their bed, and then their beds were given to someone else. So, like,
oh God. So you take shifts on a bed.
On a bed.
Oh, that's terrible.
I'm sure you're shocked to know that there were a large number of deaths as a result of the overcrowding and lack of proper care. So their sanitation could not hold up to this. So, like, lots of people died from very preventable things. They estimate that the number of people who died due to overcrowding and the poor sanitation is, like, in the 5-figure range. So, like, over 10,000 people died as a result of...
Holy shit.
Yes. Yes. They, of course, were super on top of all the cold treatments during this time.
I'm sure as my hospital was too.
So they use chlorpromazine, which is Thorazine, which does help treat some psychiatric issues. But primarily at this hospital, they used it to keep patients in a catatonic state, so they're more pliable. They also use laudanum to, again, keep them subdued. They use insulin shock therapy, which puts patients in a coma. Again,
that's what I was
subdued.
Like, what? Yeah, subdued.
Subdued. They used electroshock treatment, which is used now, but with actual medical know-how and thought and math instead of just, let's just shock them and see what happens. Obviously, they performed several lobotomies, which left most of the patients unable to like even take care of themselves. Most people died as a result of the lobotomy, either during it or after.
Right.
They also like to use isolation as kind of a form of punishment. And like any staff member could send a patient to isolation in theory. Like if they were uncontrollable, that's when they would be sent. But they didn't really have to have, there were like guidelines. They could just send anybody. I'm done with you. You're in isolation. And sometimes they would keep them there for like days or weeks at a time.
That's terrible.
Right? In fact, one patient who was an ex-boxer attempted to beat down the metal door of the isolation room after they had closed him in. He managed to rip one of the doors off of its hinges and like dent another one because it's how much he was like, I can't be in here. I can't be in here. Can't be in here.
Wow.
And apparently when they came to I don't know, deal with him because he was destroying the metal room. Like, they opened the door and he just very calmly walked out. He just needed to not be in the room. It's like, God damn.
Right.
So, obviously, several people died here. Many patients were hurt or killed by other patients. There was an inmate who was murdered by 2 other patients there who attempted to hang him, which failed. And so they put his head under a bed frame and jumped on it until...
Oh, gosh.
Many of the people who died here often went unclaimed. Their families never came to pick them up.
Yep.
And so they were buried at the cemetery on the grounds. But instead of a traditional headstone, like with a name and dates or anything, it was just a small stone that had like their patient ID number. So no name. I swear
you and I are telling the same story.
The same story.
I swear.
It's so
different hospital name, same story.
And so the stones at some point got repurposed, and so most of them are gone. So they have no idea. They have no way to determine who any of these people are anymore.
Oh, that sucks.
Yes. There were fires set throughout the building because, you know. And at one point, one of the nurses went missing one evening, and they couldn't find her anywhere. And they later found her body at the bottom of a stairwell that was primarily unused. So they were like, what?
Oh, no.
By the 1980s, the population issues were mostly gone. The numbers were reduced. There'd been a lot of changes in mental health care. Although they still locked people basically in cages if they couldn't control them. So, you know, the 80s weren't great either.
No.
But there was an attempt to build a new hospital. And they did build a new hospital somewhere else. But they wanted to repurpose their building and convert it into a prison.
Wow.
But for some reason, it got deemed unconstitutional and the whole project was suspended. Officially, it closed in 1994 due to changes in patient treatment and how we have grown, thankfully, on how to handle and deal with mental health issues and some of the psychiatric disorders and how that can be managed and maintained.
Right.
But primarily, it was closed because of a class action lawsuit that had been filed by family members of patients who had been there. So, like, bad place.
Right.
So, I'm sure you're surprised with all this very positive unicorn rainbow information I've given you that it's haunted.
I am. Shocked Pikachu face over here.
Shocked Pikachu face. I love it. I love it. So, there have been, balls of light, ghostly figures, moving toys, which I hate.
Your favorite.
That have been reported here. There are some ghosts have very specific names, like they kind of know who they are.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about Little Lily. Now, Little Lily is the daughter of Gladys. So we're going to talk about Gladys. So
is this like Timmy?
So Gladys had been sent to the asylum very early in its history. She was sent there after she had been raped by Civil War soldiers. Or at least the story is like raped, but like quotation marks raped. Like, was she? Because absolutely could have been. Right. Or was it got made some life choices? I don't know. None of those things matter. But she was pregnant when she got there and ended up dying in childbirth, which is sad.
Okay.
So she had a daughter that the nurses named Lily, and she stayed mostly at the asylum. But at 9, she got pneumonia and she died.
Oh, that's sad.
So now people like to come and visit Lily's room and bring her toys and stuffed animals and candy, and the toys move and the candy disappears.
Oh.
She is like Timmy because she likes to roll balls on to terrify you.
Oh,
like
dang.
Timmy, and I hate that.
You're like,
ooh. So little ghost child, which I hate. I hate the ghost children. Ugh.
Yes.
Ugh. Okay. There's also Big Jim, David Mason, and Dean. Now, Big Jim and David Mason brutally murdered Dean. They're the ones that tried repeatedly to hang him, but couldn't.
Okay.
And so they forced Dean's head under a bedpost and jumped on the bed, killing him. So they all still haunt the place. Ugh. Dean is known to be a pretty quiet spirit, but will speak to you, which is horrible, and I hate that.
You're like, nope.
But anytime that Big Jim and David's ghosts or shadows or whatever they are come around, he, of course, GTFOs and doesn't want to hang out anymore.
Yeah. Fair.
And when those two ghosts or shadows, because they're mostly experienced as shadows, when they show up, the energy in the room changes and people start to feel like uncomfortable and sick. Just all of a sudden it's like, ugh.
Yeah, I would too.
Right?
That's fair. I would, yeah. Yeah.
There is a ghost that they call Slewfoot, and no one knows why or how this ghost got the name Slewfoot as his nickname. But the rumor or the story that they think is that he had been someone who roamed the upper floors and killed and tortured people in the upstairs bathroom during his.
Ooh.
And so he tends to haunt the bathroom on the upstairs floor. That tends to be his favorite place to be. So don't go there. That sounds horrible.
Yeah, no, that doesn't sound fun at all.
There's another ghost named Ruth, who primarily hangs out on the first floor. She was a female patient and was in what became known as the Civil War wing that held a lot of veterans from the Civil War. Mm-hmm. And most of them did end up dying in that wing. And so, I know. Apparently they like to haunt that wing too. Just letting you know. Civil War soldiers hanging out. But Ruth hated them with an unbelievable rage. I mean, they were probably pretty awful. I don't know. But she seems to whatever her story is, she seems to just hate men in general. And so she throws things at men when they come to visit. So if you're a guy and he gets stuff thrown at you, it's Ruth.
That's
Ruth
funny.
did that.
Nice. Way to go, Ruth.
Right. There's James, who apparently was just, a normal person who was taking a nice hot bath and died of a heart attack. It's no sad, tragic, anything. He's just a person who was there taking a bath. He had a heart attack. He died. And now he's still there. And
he's still there.
So he's not angry. He's just kind of chilling, just doing his thing.
Nice.
But then there's still one more ghost. Nurse Elizabeth.
Is she the one who fell?
So they don't know a whole lot about her, other than that she was a good nurse. She was good about going floor to floor, taking care of the patients that needed her help, and no one knows what happened to her.
Okay.
But she is trapped there too. So I think she is the nurse that was found at the bottom of the stairs that was pushed or killed or whatever. Because I got the sense reading it that they looked for her and they couldn't find her. And then later they found her in a place that maybe they had already looked.
Gotcha.
So it's like, what?
Her body just appeared somewhere that had, yeah, I get what you're saying.
So I think the thought is that someone, patient or staff, killed her and just left her body in a place to be found to be like, oh, she probably just fell down the stairs. Please ignore the stab wound.
Right, yeah. It was suicide. Was it?
It's definitely the hand marks around her neck, we should ignore those. She obviously just fell.
Yeah, it's fine.
But so those are the main ghosts at the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, which you can visit. They do historical tours. They also do ghost tours. It has been the subject of many episodes, from Ghost Hunters to Ghost Encounters to Travel Channel's Most Haunted or whatever. But sounds like a good time. So when do you want to go, Claire?
We should go. That sounds fun.
Right? But that is the story of the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum and their many ghosts and their very long history of lots of people dying there.
Right? I feel like it's just all the same.
I know, right? Well,
they're all the same.
Because I did like a TB hospital place, and and like they all seem to have that period of time in which they become like a mental health asylum or something, and so nothing good ever happens when that happens.
Right. Fair. Yeah. Well, thank you for that.
Yes, of course.
It's like, oh boy.
So what lunatic asylum did you bring us?
I'm going to be talking about the Danvers State Hospital in Massachusetts.
Wow.
And my sources are Wikipedia, Only in Your State, U.S. Ghost Adventures, and all that's interesting. So, Danvers State Hospital started construction in 1874, and it opened in 1878.
Wild.
And interestingly enough, where it is, this area in Danvers, Massachusetts, was where the guy who presided over the Salem witch trials lived.
Yay!
This is where it built. It was like where his home was.
Yay!
So I'm like, oh boy.
I was going to say, I've been to Danvers. That's not that far.
This land has got some interesting history. John Hawthorne. Anyway. So it's like, oh, well, happy times here in this piece of area of land. Yep. It cost $1.5 million to build, and it too used the Kirk Bridge layout and had two main buildings, and said that they put like the more violent patients like on the outer wings.
Fair.
Yeah. Over the years, newer buildings were added, so it grew. And this creeps me out more than anything, because I'm just like, most of the buildings were connected by a labyrinth of tunnels underground. And I'm just like, nothing good can come from underground tunnels.
No. And like, why?
Because it was a way for them to be self-sufficient, I guess, for them to like bring in stuff. It said one of them connected to like a power plant. Others connected to like other ways out. I guess it was also a way for them to like get the bodies out. I don't know. Like, and it also connected like the dorms from like the workers underground too. It's just like, but yeah, I'm like, but why? Why do we have to have like a labyrinth? Labyrinth of under. I'm like, you say the word labyrinth, and I'm like, no, wrong. The original plan was meant to house like 500 patients,
right? And instead,
with attic space, which I'm like, attic space. This is what it said. With attic space that could possibly house like another 1,000, which I'm like, in the attic. Like, really? Like, what? By the late 1930s, they had over 2,000.
Wow.
Patients. Yeah. So, severely overcrowded, severely understaffed, because I think I read that it only had like 125 people on staff.
Shit.
Or like 2,000 over 2,000 patients. it got to where that the patients were being held in the basement. So I'm just like, none of this is good. No,
it is not.
None of this is good. It was more than just a mental hospital. They had a training program for nurses that started in 1889, and they started a research laboratory that started in 1895. So there was that. Don't know what kind of research it didn't really elaborate on the research laboratory, so I'm just like,
probably nothing good.
No,
just a guess.
Probably not. Nope. As with yours, due to overcrowding and underfunding and understaffing, patients didn't receive the best medical care. Like you said, a lot of them were left to just be in their own filth for days upon end. You know, many were just like walking around naked. It was like, it seems like anarchy. What is happening? The ultimate goal of this place was to cure patients. And I guess they thought they could do that with shock treatment, but then they were also doing it like as punishment too. Like if you were acting out, like, oh, we're gonna shock, and straitjackets. Those were like the two main forms of punishment if you were acting out. And like with yours, all those reasons that you listed for why you could go to the mental hospital, insane asylum, and plus other things like that you would today, like we know is like autism, or things like ADHD, stuff like that or these little quirks and tics and things like that. They would get sent there because they didn't know how to name it. They would just say this person's crazy and we're gonna send them away.
Yep.
So all the things that you mentioned in yours, I mean, it's the same, all of that. But they would use straitjackets and shock treatments as punishments for like unruly patients. They would put them in straitjackets and then just leave them somewhere and forget about them for days.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was kind of like you're talking about, like leaving them in isolation. Yeah, it was the same kind of thing. They would use the shock therapy to try to scare them into submission. And if the shock therapy failed, then they started doing lobotomies. And in 1939, it was 2,360 patients, and they wound up having 278 deaths that one year alone. And so they started doing the lobotomies, I guess, to try to like curb the deaths, to like, like, oh, let's calm these patients down and maybe we won't die as much. I don't know. So they were using the lobotomies as a cure for insanity. They were also, like with yours, using those particular drugs. A lot of the patients,
just to keep them quiet.
Like, drugged out of their minds. But Danvers State Hospital is known as the birthplace of the prefrontal lobotomy.
Ew.
Yeah. And so it says that, lobotomy patients wandered the halls aimlessly, sometimes naked, because like you said, they just couldn't really take care of themselves. And other patients were drugged into submission because it was just like, oh, we can't handle you, so we're just gonna drug you where you'll just be like a zombie. The state of Massachusetts began defunding the hospital in 1969. So parts of the hospital began closing down. And most of it was closed by 1985. And it was permanently closed in 1992. It was bought, the buildings were, what was left was bought by a development company in 2005. And they demolished several of the buildings, but then they renovated the rest into apartments.
Yay!
Yeah. And so in 2007, like they're still renovating and building and all this for these apartments. A mysterious fire broke out and burned a lot of the new construction and some of the construction trailers. It's just like, but there are 2 cemeteries that still exist on the property that they've not touched. that have the headstones, like you talked about, with just the numbers, no names, 770 patients.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's, I'm just like, yeah, basically it's the same story. It's like,
yeah.
Except they left the headstones. They didn't. They've not touched the cemeteries.
I mean, that's good because I assume for the Trans-Allegheny area, I feel like there's a lot of restless souls being like, I have no identification. I have to roam. And like, no, pass. I don't want that.
Right. And it's just like, what? Mm. Really though, the lobotomy. I just get like so tired of people. It's like, what? Why the lobotomies? It was like that was like the be all, the end all back then. It was like lobotomy. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're a woman who reads lobotomy.
I wonder what in 100 years, what people will look back and be like, those idiots in like the 2020s. Like, what the fuck? Or I can't believe everybody was like, oh my God, microbiome or whatever.
Right. So yeah, because you covered a lot of what mine is. Like it was like, yeah, it's all the same. All the same. So the hauntings, one of the administrators, his name was Gerald Richards. He was there in the 1940s and 50s. He lived on the premises with his family. He had children. His daughter, whose name was Geraldine, has spoken about some of the things she saw while they lived there.
Oh, okay.
She talked about how they would hear footsteps. Blech. Like, yeah, it's all your favorite things, disembodied footsteps.
Hate that.
Doors opening and closing by themselves, lights turning on and off, and you're just like, yeah, I hate that for you. don't love that. And how that she saw a spirit while playing with her siblings. We were in the attic and they saw this apparition of this elderly woman off in the corner scowling at them. And so then they were like, oh, we're not going to play here anymore. No thanks. And when they decided not to play there anymore, that like a couple nights later, she claimed that she was awoken by the same spirit at night because it pulled the covers off her bed.
No,
I know. No. I'm like, absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Like, no. No, thank you. I'd be like, get me out of here now. I'm not.
It's like, we don't live here anymore. Bye.
I know. I'd be like, Dad, get a new job. You cannot be here anymore. After its closure, the abandoned building was a hot spot for teenagers to come and roam through. It just reminded me of like, what was it? Like the old Corbin Hospital.
The old Corbin Hospital, yeah.
Like people would go in,
all the time, yeah, to go to the morgue.
Yeah, that was like the big thing back in the day. Let's go to the old Corbin Hospital. Yeah, I never went. Did you go? I did not either.
I'm sad now that I never went. I didn't. I mean, we were friends, so like, if we didn't go, who else was going to take us?
Right. Exactly. I'm a hotspot for paranormal investigators and ghost hunters, obviously. And a lot of our favorite things, disembodied wails and moans, are heard. Captured several EVPs and stuff that's like on the recordings, things that's saying, I live here and
Blech.
I am warning you and get out. And I'm like, I'm not here for that either. I will get out. Thank you. I will leave right now.
But here's my thing. Like, obviously, I don't know. I don't think I'm dead. I don't think this is some weird afterlife. But so, like, let's say I'm dead and I'm a ghost and I'm trapped in an area. I feel like I would want people to move in and like be around just out of boredom, if nothing else. Like, oh hey, let me watch these people for a while. Like, I feel like I'd be more like Ghost, the TV show Ghost.
Oh yes,
like I would be like,
you would want somebody to like be like to see you and be able to converse with and like, hey.
Well, but like even without that, like they were like the fact that they kind of just like watch whoever's living in the house and they would go watch like them have sex or like, wait, are you watching us have sex? Like, not now because you can see us, but like, yeah, what else are we gonna do?
Right. There were apparitions in the cemeteries that people have seen. And I'm just like, I'm not here for that either. No, thank you. Um, like this one reminded me of Waverly. They talk about how in the building it was like dark shadows and dark mists over an area. And I'm just like, no, I don't want any of that either. I don't want any dark shadows just out of nowhere in my life. No, thank you. I don't need any of that. No. And people who are living in the apartments, they're now claim to hear like moans and screams at night.
No.
Like out of like a
oh.
like outside, and talk about how like it sounds like somebody might be in trouble, so they call the police, and the police come, and it's just like, oh no, it's just this empty lot over here, and it's just like, no, it's not anything. And I'm like, could you imagine? Like, why? Why would you want to go, like, I'm going to get an apartment here?
Well,
I understand if you didn't know any better, but if you did, why?
I did live in an apartment on top of Old Gallows Hill, so I can't really...
I mean, fair.
Can't really say much. I don't recall anything supernatural or spooky happening, but Merlin did climb underneath my comforter to attack my feet in the middle of the night, so that was enough. It's enough.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's the story of Danvers State Hospital / Danvers Lunatic Asylum.
Yeah, so in mine, like, it was the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. It changed the name at some point in the 1900s, like 1920, to Weston State Hospital. But then after whoever has it now bought it, like, they went back to the original name because it is it's a spook attraction. You're going there for the ghosts. I mean, it's other stuff too, like, but still.
Yeah.
Crazy.
They also say that they like see like ghosts in the tunnels, and I'm like, why would you go down to the tunnels?
Why are you in a tunnel? What are you doing?
I feel like you would get lost. And side note too, H.P. Lovecraft wrote a book that I cannot remember the name of right now, but anyway, he had a name of the hospital, and it was Arkham Hospital.
Oh,
and this was the inspiration for that.
Oh.
And then DC Comics took the name Arkham Hospital, and that was the inspiration for Arkham Asylum.
Yep.
So this was basically the inspiration for Arkham Asylum in DC Comics.
Horrifying.
Isn't it? Isn't it? I know. I'm like, wow, that's I'm like, the fact that this was like the inspiration basically for Arkham Asylum in Batman. I'm just like, that's crazy.
No.
And there was a movie called Session 9 that had David Caruso in it. Our favorite overactor from CSI Miami. Anyway, but they talked to him about being there, and he just talked about how the vibe in the place was so creepy, and he talked about how a lot of the places that when they filmed inside, he was like, they didn't even really have to set the sets. Like, he said they just like left it as it was, and he said a lot of that shit was just there. So he was like, the vibe was not good. He was like, it just felt creepy. It was not, I mean, he didn't say that they saw anything specifically as far as like ghosts, but how it was like one of those things where you got done and you're like, let's get out of here. Like, we don't need to linger. We don't need to stay.
Yeah, it's like, okay, and let's go.
Let's get out. This is not cool. You know, he said it was just like the vibe was just all over, just did not feel, all over vibe was not good. You know, but talked about how like they didn't even have to like dress the sets. It was just the stuff in the hospital was like, it was there. And I'm like, that's gross. Ew. Anyway.
I hate that.
Yeah, that's my story on Danvers State Hospital.
That was excellent, Claire. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So ultimately we've decided that we should never go to an insane asylum, lunatic asylum, or whatever phrase was the right phrase then.
Right. No, never.
Sounds awful.
It does.
All right. So, Claire.
Yes.
What are you judging this week?
I had a sort of, what do you call it? What was it? Like Mandela Effect moments.
Oh, okay.
But not really.
Okay.
But it was weird. So I'm on vacation, and my coworker Natalie texts me and just find the text real quick because it was so bizarre. Because I was like, "What?" I'm like, "Is this a trick question? What's happening?" And it was very weird. She says, she goes, "Finish the lyric, please. Everybody wants to blank the world." And I'm like, "Rule? Like, are we talking about the fear?" And I said, "As in the Tears for Fears song." So then she sends me this screenshot of like her Pandora, and it's Tears for Fears, but the name of the song says "Everybody Wants to Run the World."
What?
Yes. She goes, right. She goes, right. But then why this, Claire? When was it ever run? With like multiple exclamation and question marks. And I said, never. And she goes, in all caps, I can't, period. You know, and then I'm like, send back all the like wide-eyed emojis, like, what the fuck? Yeah. And I'm like, shut up. Pandora is wrong. So then I'm immediately like Googling.
Right.
And so then I'd go to Spotify and I find it and I send her the link for Spotify where it says "Everybody Wants to Rule the World." And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And it was just like this moment of like, have I literally jumped the timeline? What is happening right now?
We're in a whole another dimension at this point.
What is going on?
Oh my God.
I'm like, Tears for Fears never had a song "Run the World." Everybody wants to run the world. I'm sitting here thinking like, I watched pop-up video so many times, and I know I saw that, and it was "Everybody Wants to Run the World" because it was the dumbest damn video on the planet. I remember it, but still I'm just like, what is happening?
Yes.
And then she goes, "That's what I thought. I didn't think I misunderstood the lyrics all this time, but maybe I did. They literally sang 'Run the World,' Claire, in the song. They said 'run' instead of 'rule the world,' the whole freaking song." And she's just like emoji, you know. And she goes, "Are there two versions?" And I'm like, maybe? I'm like, I don't know what is happening.
Oh my God.
And she's like, "But why though?"
Is it like a clue thing where it's like, we won't tell you which version you've got? You're just going to argue about it for all time?
She's just like, "I wanted to make sure I wasn't wrong. So naturally I asked you because you would know. Now I'm even more bewildered." And I'm like, this is so bizarre. And so then she sends me this thing where she had Googled apparently, and it says "Everybody Wants to Run the World" is a re-recording of the band's song "Everybody Wants to Run the World." The reworked single was released in May 1986 as the theme song for the Sport Aid campaign, a charitable event to help raise money for the famine relief in Africa. And I'm just like, what? Huh? And I'm like, when did that happen? And she was like, "I found this on Google. I still say nay and blame the Mandela Effect." And I'm like, I had no idea. Like, we both were having a cow about it because we've had so many moments where it's been like that, where we're like, no. Like, even more than just like the normal, because she's like dying on the hill of like, you know, Fruit of the Loom had a fucking cornucopia in their logo.
Spencer said that too, and I was like, no. No.
You know, they're like, you know, and yeah, fucking Publishers Clearinghouse was Ed McMahon.
Ed McMahon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, we're dying on that hill, you know.
I'm dying on that hill. That's real.
Like, there are so many times that she'll be like, "What the fuck?" You know. But this was really like, we both were like getting ready to like stroke out, and I'm like, why would they do this? Why would they do that? I really did. I really was like, oh my God, I have jumped timelines and I didn't even know it. We're in a completely different alternate reality, and the lyrics are different. I can't deal if lyrics are different because I've always been known for knowing lyrics. And this
now
is not
you're in a new one, and you're going to be wrong all the time.
I know. You're wrong. It was just, I was just like, when she sent me that first thing, I was like, is this a trick question? Like, are you trying to trick me? What is happening? Like, finish this lyric. Everybody wants to blank the world. I'm like, what? You know? And then she sent me that thing and it was like, "Everybody wants to run the world." I'm like, since when? You know? We both were having a fit about it, and I'm judging because it's like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Like, why? Like, you're going to release
bizarre.
one and then you're going to release something like it'd be different. I mean, like Elton John, Candle in the Wind.
Right.
Those were so far apart. And the one was like specifically for Princess Diana. I mean, it was just like, obviously not, I feel like that wasn't the same. But it's like if you're gonna release one in the 80s and you're still gonna release another one that was like so fucking close to it, it was like, what?
Yeah, that's weird.
I had no idea that was
that was
even
a
a
thing. Yeah.
thing. I mean, sure, I'm all for like helping famine relief in Africa for whatever, but still, like, write a whole new fucking song.
Well, and I don't really understand the change of rule to run. Like what?
I don't either. I don't know if any. I've not listened to it, so I don't know if any of the other
Others.
lyrics were changed. But it was like, what? Yeah.
Weird.
But it caused me to have like an existential crisis for a minute. I was like, what is happening? My world is deteriorating. It's crumbling down around me.
Like everything I knew that was true is wrong.
And I just want to know if other people knew that this was a thing. Am I just like oblivious to what was happening?
I mean, I guess odds are no, because if you didn't know about it, like you're my go-to for stuff. So like, if you don't know, then it's probably
like
not
80s,
real.
like 80s and 90s music. Yeah. And that's why she was asking me because she was because there are so many times that like she's misheard lyrics.
as we all
and
have.
I'll be singing and she'll be like, is that what they're saying? And I'm like, yes, what? Like, what was it? Caribbean Queen. I was singing it. She's like, is that what he's saying? I'm like, Natalie, it's literally the name of the song. And she was just like, wait, what? She goes, I thought he was saying carry me, Queen. Stuff like that. But it was just like, in this one moment, it was just like we both were having a crisis.
Yeah.
Because we both were like, when did this happen?
Yeah, absolutely.
I just want to know, did anybody else out there know that Tears for Fears released a second song where they changed the word rule to run? Because I did not, and I was having a stroke about it. On my vacation, I was like, what is happening right now? Anyway, that's my judge. Why would you do that? Why?
That is an excellent judge.
I don't understand. Anyway, so what are you judging?
So this week, all week, we have been enjoying the slow release of the Epstein files. That
oh my gosh,
why
does it have to be slow? Just give us a dump, man. I just want to dump.
So my favorite thing is that like they've talked about releasing stuff, and then people claim they have a list, but it's all these like new people on the list, and it's like no, this all happened before like 2005. Like it's not new people.
Like this is old. I want the updated stuff.
So like it's like you're not gonna. So it's been a lot of hey, if you see this, if people say these names, it's not them because this is much older than them, and they would have and I'm like yeah. But so it's been a wild ride so far. Nothing super shocking. It should just be things that you were expecting and names that you know, and that's true in this particular case. Prince Andrew comes up again. But what was fascinating...
Shock, surprise.
What was fascinating is that the weirdest thing that I've heard so far is the Prince Andrew puppet that was part of...
puppet.
God, a puppet. So, complicated story.
Wait, a puppet of Prince Andrew?
A puppet of Prince Andrew, but also with Prince Andrew. So there is this TV show.
Prince Andrew has a puppet of himself.
Yes. So there is this TV show that was, I forget the name of it because I don't care that hard, that basically made ridiculous puppets of all the royal family and other celebrities. Like it was a whatever. And I guess he loved his so much that he was given his puppet. Like his, and it's like, I'll pop a picture up here so you can see. Like it's a really exaggerated, creepy looking whatever.
I'm gonna Google this.
Yes. So his puppet, and he loved his puppet and loved to play with his puppet. So there's at least one person
to play with his puppet.
He loved to play with his puppet.
Just that line. He loved to play with his puppet. Like
it gets worse.
God.
So one of the women who alleged assault from both Epstein? Is that right? Did I just make up a name? That is right. My brain just quit working, Claire.
Oh my gosh. Stop it.
Oh, are you looking at the puppet?
This is terrifying.
It's horrifying.
Why would you want this of yourself?
So So like this girl ends up at Balmoral, the castle in Edinburgh. She is there with Prince Andrew and his puppet. The Queen is also there, like nowhere near. She has no idea this is happening, but like the Queen is in residence at the time. She is at the castle, and at the same time the Queen is at the castle, Prince Andrew is in a room with this girl and his puppet, and assaults her with the puppet. Like, I'm like, what the hell?
Teeth on this thing are fucking huge. Like, this is terrifying. Y'all, just take like, I'm serious. Like, you throw this up. It's like if you took a caricature of yourself.
Yes,
at
they're
like
all
Kings Island
caricatures.
With like the big teeth and all that, and you made a puppet out of it. This is terrifying.
Yeah. Well, that was the show premise of all the puppets. Were very caricature. Like it was a comedy.
I guess in my head, when you say puppet, I'm thinking like Sesame Street.
Oh God, no. This is
this is not like this is not Sesame Street puppetry. No.
No.
This is terrifying.
No, this is above and beyond. This is when you let adults make things and for other adults. So
God. He assaulted her with that
with the puppet of himself.
Oh my God.
And like
I don't even know how. Oh,
no, I don't want details. I want none of that. The fact that any of these words come together and the fact that it is in these files and that they have now been released, I'm like, oh my God, what the fuck is wrong with you, Prince Andrew?
Ew.
So
I'm disturbed.
Yes.
I'm so disturbed.
So I'm here to judge the insane place that we have gotten to in which stupid rich guys, Prince Andrew, just like can do anything that they want with really no repercussions. Like, oh no, everybody hates him, but like he's not in prison. He's fine. He's still a richy rich guy. Like, yeah, he can't be king, but like he was never gonna be king. So whatever.
Like, no. Mm-hmm.
It's gross. So that's gross. Disturbing. But mostly, the fuck are these puppets, guys? What? Like, why were they even, like, I get it was for a TV show, but like, who thought this was a good idea?
Just Google Prince Andrew puppet if you're not watching us on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm happy to throw up all of the creepy pictures because, whoa.
That's terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
And disgusting.
It is.
Ew.
So that's my judge this week, is as we keep getting more information. That is by far the most bizarre thing that has come out. But they did just release another like 1,200 page document. So I'm sure there's lots of more horrific things to come. But puppets, using a puppet of oneself to assault somebody is a level that I never thought we would attain. And yet here we are going, oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
That's something.
There you have it.
Something.
That is my judge. It's gross.
That is a very disturbing judge, and yet excellent nonetheless. Because he should be judged for that.
Yes, he should.
Absolutely. Oh, that's terrifying.
I just can't get over. It's like the Queen was in the castle. Like, I mean, I get it's a huge castle. Like,
right.
It's not that I don't believe she had any knowledge or whatever, because, but
right.
Like that you would do that while your mommy is in the goddamn castle. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah,
there's so many levels. It's like one, you're assaulting someone, which is horrific at all times.
Yes.
Two, you're assaulting someone while your mommy is in the same building, who happens to also be the Queen. But three, you're using a horrific caricature puppet of yourself that you think is so fun and hilarious to do this. Like, I think he needs to be in the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Absolutely.
I'm pretty sure that would get you locked up in the 1800s, yes.
I would hope so.
Mm-hmm.
Ew.
Well, on that fun note, it must be time for tarot time with April. A spooky spooky. All right, Claire. What question are we going to ask the cards this week? I leave it to you. I asked last week about the potential... words are not working for me today.
Words are hard.
Yeah, they are hard. About the potential redemption arc for Greg Locke. So, this week, what shall we ask?
Oh.
Do, do, do. Do, do, do.
What is in store for the people on Jeffrey Epstein's list?
Ooh. What's in store for the people on Epstein's list? I like that. Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous just came into my head, so there's that. Well, we have the 8 of Swords inverted.
Okay.
We have the 7 of Pentacles. And we have the Emperor.
Oh.
Let's find out what that means.
Okay.
All right, 7 of Swords inverted. We're not looking at truth when it comes to the 7 of Swords inverted. We're looking at dishonesty pointed inward. You tell yourself you're stupid, ugly, and not worth anything, and you believe it. And a cage starts to grow around your self-esteem. With every lie you point out yourself, you restrict your grace, even if it's not an abusive lie, even if it's a lie that puts you in a better light than you should be at the moment. When you don't reach the expectation that your lie has created, it will all come crashing down. Okay. Damage and disease. We hold ourselves back, impede our progress to the truth. We save ourselves in the short term only to suffer in the long term.
I feel like that's pretty on point.
Mm-hmm. I can get behind that. Oh, actually, I think I read the wrong card. LOL.
Uh-oh.
Yes, this is the 8 of Swords inverted, and I was reading 7.
Boo.
So ignore all of that.
It should be the 7.
Okay.
There's a reason you accidentally read it wrong.
Yeah, because inverted 8 of Swords is about release of a bird flying out of a cage. No matter how pretty that cage is, it's a cage. And it comes up after someone has left a bad marriage, ended a toxic friendship, or found a better job. About releasing those restrictions we hold on ourselves inside. Okay.
I like the first one better.
I mean, you know, but maybe it's like, it's freeing in that all of this comes out so that it's
maybe, yeah.
no longer...
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm making shit up. All right. Now we're on to the 7 of Pentacles. I know there's a 7. Just the wrong 7. Okay. Oh, 7 of Pentacles is the little red hen. That's where you work for something, basically. So, okay. Hard work and waiting for that work to become something tangible. Interesting.
That's for the police officers.
Okay. And then ending with the Emperor. If and I can find him. Okay. Let's see. Someone has to make the hard decisions. Someone has to decide that we're going to invade here and not there. Someone has to decide what to do in a crisis, and someone has to be that guy, or nothing will get accomplished. It's the John Wayne card, the sheriff, or your dad on his best day, and common sense, taking care of things.
Someone has
So,
to decide what to do with these people.
uh-huh. So, okay. I don't quite know how to read this. So so I guess it's release and then hard work and then some decisions are made? I don't know.
Because we're releasing the names.
Yep. Okay.
And then they have hard work to like get more evidence against them.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And then the judge is gonna have to decide.
That's
what
right.
to do with them.
Someone's gonna have to come down and be like, and you're done.
Yes.
Bye-bye now. Bye-bye.
That's how I'm reading it.
I'll take it. Works for me. All right. On to finding out our topic for next week, Claire. What do you think it might be?
Oh, I don't know. Let's land on something we haven't had in a minute.
All right, here we go. Let's go. Big money, big money, big money.
No whammies.
Oh.
Or that.
That works
that
too. I'll take a wild card.
Wild card.
It's another wild card week. I'm here for that. I like a good wild card. We can bring in some of our other things that we like. Yay!
It can be anything.
Anything. Actually, that'll be great. Wild card 100th episode.
Yes.
So, like, see if we can find a way to get 100 in there somehow. Just in some way, shape, or form.
Okay.
Even if it's just 100% Lilith.
That's right.
All right. So join us next week as we celebrate our 100th show. Whoa.
Yes. Yes.
Where we'll have some cool stories, specially chosen just for our 100th episode. Don't know what that means yet, but you'll know when we know. So until then, you can find us in all the things and at all the places at
Brunch and Judge.
Please follow, like, comment, subscribe. And you can send us more topics for our wheel or any stories you'd like for us to cover to us at
brunchandjudge@gmail.com.
So until next time, keep on brunching.
And keep on judging.
And stay out of the lunatic asylum.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.